Do you feel you have psychic abilities or intuitive abilities, but you kind of struggle with it a little, or you doubt that maybe that's possible because you heard that it's not, or you grew up watching, movies or media, or it's someone in your childhood told you that, oh, that's nonsense? If so, this video is definitely going to be for you, because I'm going to be talking a little bit about, first off, what a psychic even is, and our misperceptions around them, and also where some of those misperceptions and belief systems come from, so we can release some of this doubt and shame and get some clarity around what these abilities are. Generally, when I see psychics portrayed, in movies and the media, I just see them basically being mocked. And there's definitely some reasons for this, because there's a lot of fake psychic type people that take advantage of people out there and just take your money and lie to you. That definitely is a truth. But I feel a lot of it is also done to sort of disempower people. That's just my opinion on the whole thing. But I think it's important to understand what a psychic actually even is, because there's this general collective belief that a psychic is someone that just can incontrovertibly predict your future. I've heard a lot of people ask me or say things to the extent of like, well, if you're intuitive, or someone's intuitive and they're psychic, then how come you can't tell me what's going to happen on this day? Or how come you're not a millionaire because you just figured out what lottery ticket to play so you could win $700 million? And the answer is because that's not how being a psychic works. I know that sounds like a really brilliant point, but it kind of isn't. For people who are like me and you want, a lot of the left brain documentation of, psychic abilities and intuitive abilities, there are so many amazing people out there who are, who have books and videos and programs on this. Greg Braden is excellent. Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Michael Talbot's The Holographic Universe is a phenomenal book. Dean Radin's Entangled Minds. All of these books kind of document extrasensory ability, intuitive ability, and like how you can kind of test and analyze and quantify these things. So it's not just like, it doesn't just require only faith. There's like a logic to it also. There are variations to intuitive abilities. We all have different levels of abilities. Some people can feel emotions. Some people can feel people's energy. Some people can see storylines for people. Some people are really good at accessing like your soul's journey and your soul's lessons. Other people are good at interdynamic, relationship sort of things, and they can match you with another person based on their energy. Some people can see auras. Some people can't. Some people just have intuitive knowings about things. Some people have incredible visions and guidance that comes through their dreams. Other people don't necessarily dream so much. Some people have been able to predict aspects of future events to an extent. Okay, so a psychic is more somebody that has an extrasensory perception and an intuitive ability and an ability to read people in various ways. It's much easier to get accurate information about the present and about the past. And there are people that can kind of read what's in your space right now with incredible accuracy. The future is really hard for anybody. And like I said, I've never met anyone that can accurately predict the future. But again, that's not because there's no such thing as psychic ability. It's because that's kind of a drawn up, kind of over dramatized, fake version and understanding of what psychics are. I've had extensive experiences with people who've been able to tell me things about myself that they would never know. Readings they've done on me, things about my past, things about my childhood, that there's no way they could have guessed. I've been able to do that for other people. I've been able to, just by asking their higher self for guidance and channeling the information, tell them things that I wouldn't know. I've done it way too many times for it to be a coincidence. I've had people do it for me way too many times for it to be a coincidence. I've had people clear sicknesses from me remotely with their intention. I've had that happen again and again and again. People who just access my energetic field in the ethers with my permission and clear sicknesses out of my field, and then I don't get sick or I get better. I've had extensive experience with that. There are so many things and abilities that we all have that many of us haven't been fully aware of. It's very real, but it's a skill. It's a skill we're developing. And the skill is not blanketly telling someone their future, because there's many possibilities, probabilities, and timelines for somebody's future. It's not written. We're creating it as we go. Plus, there's the new timeline version of our reality and the old timeline version, which is something I'll discuss somewhere else. But on the old timeline, there was more of a script. Like the soul would script out specific things. Like, I'm going to do this, 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 meet this person here. So it would be easier for someone to be like, oh, you're going to do this, or you're going to have this job, or you're going to meet this person. And even in that, there was different levels of structure as far as to how specific the script was and how much free will and openness there was. Which is why a psychic may be able to be like, oh, you're going to do this to one person, and they'll be wrong about someone else because that person has more free will. Now, on the new timeline, from my understanding, more and more, we're just improvising. We're all kind of in a Vitamix right now, like in uncharted territory, making it up as we go. But that doesn't mean there's no such thing as intuition or psychic ability or, powers greatly more potent and real than what we've believed to be true. Being psychic or intuitive is a skill set. It's like any skill set. It's like being a runner. There are some people that are born to be Olympic gold medalist runners and shatter records. Those people still have to work. They work every day, but they also have like a natural propensity for it. There are other people who, no matter how hard they work every fucking day of their life, they're never going to win a gold medal as a runner, but they can improve. They can get better than where they started. And then there's the majority of us who are somewhere in the middle, right? We can improve significantly. Depends on where you start. Depends on what your beliefs are, because that's really what it is. The more open you are with your belief systems, the more psychic you become. The more rigid and dense and no, there's nothing, the more you block out and filter out your reality, so there's nothing. And that's what all the programming about there's nothing is. Right? There isn't anything else. Death is the end. We're a bunch of accidental, meaningless machine monkeys who just kind of came out of nowhere. There's no real explanation as to how or why. You're going nowhere. You have no purpose. Your thoughts and emotions mean nothing. You have no ability. You have no superpower. So just get discouraged and fuck off. Now, where did a lot of this stuff about psychics being kind of crazy and impossible come from? And I'm not an expert on this, but I know enough about it to just talk about it. Well, for a long time in our history, and to some extent still, religion went kind of nuts. Now, I'm not talking to all religious people, right? Like I've talked about before, anyone can be anything. It depends on your intention. It's like money. It's not good or evil. It depends on what you use it for. Same with religion. But historically on the planet, it went kind of fucking bonkers. Millions of people were killed. And one of the things with religion, at least in our history, was religion tended to take people's own connection to spirit away from them. You had to seek a connection through the middleman, right? Through the priest or the rabbi or the prophet or even the guru for Eastern religion. It's kind of everywhere. The gurus kind of helped you more find it within yourself, but those were tainted in some way sometimes too. And what happened was, the church used people. You could buy your way into heaven, but if you didn't pay enough, you were going to burn in hell forever. I mean, that's complete madness. You don't have the power to actually reach God yourself. You have to pay for it, or you have to, politically make favor with the priest. There was a big disconnect between like how spirit actually embodied. Like, for example, people weren't really thinking at all anymore. Anytime somebody got sick, they were just like, God, cure this, God, do it. And they would infer extensively all these beliefs around why the person was sick, which was just their own belief projected onto the situation. And a lot of people wouldn't take any action for anything because they were just waiting for God to do everything. And that's not really how spirit works, right? There is intuition, there is ability, there is extrasensory ability, there is guidance, and then we have to do it. We also have to be logical and reasonable and rational and use science. It's both. So what happened was there was like this madness in the church and a demonization of psychic ability from the church. And then a lot of people went, that nobody's thinking. And they went all the way over here to science, but like atheistic science, where it's like, okay, now I don't believe in anything. And it made sense as to why they would do that when everything went so mad. But we kind of went from one side of the paradigm to the other. It's like this seesaw battle, right? A lot of atheism it's just kind of shut down toward like the craziness of what religion was. And there's some truth in both sides. And there's a lot of bullshit in both sides. Just because that's how kind of always it is. It's not even religion or science, it's human dogma. We just kind of tend to turn stuff into a mess. And then science became so dense and in such a rebellion against religion that anything spiritual, anything extrasensory, anything beyond just 3D density was crazy, which is total shutdown and dismissive. And it involves a lot of bitterness and anger and judgment, kind of a lot of the same things that they were resisting in religion. And we tend to look at the other side of a polarity and be like, that's it. Like, no one can be like, well, there's a little truth here and there's a little truth here, but what about all these other infinite aspects and places? It's just like, that's the only mark, and I don't agree with that, so this, completely 100% the other way, or the complete absence of that. That's never how anything works. Anything, ever, and it never will be. And now here we are, where we're beginning to bridge the gap between the science of spirituality and the separation that a lot of religion created from spirit. And some churches are actually becoming much more heart-centered and connected and empowering. Some are not. Some are still in the God hides gay people. Depends on who. And then science is starting to move along as far as finding the link. But the perception of the psychic being crazy, being woo-woo, being nuts, these abilities being impossible, kind of come from both ends of that spectrum. And what's underneath all of it is disempowering people. Disempowering, disconnecting people from spirit and their own psychic, extrasensory, intuitive superpower. So I just wanted to dispel some of this a little bit and, help to open people up a little more to the possibility of having intuitive gifts. They're not that hard to develop once you believe they're possible. So I hope this helped. Please leave any comments below. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. I will be leaving links soon to a free energy clearing meditation that I'm going to be putting together for people. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.